The circumstances that could affect that particular situation is what you have caused. It's man-made, and most of these issues we are talking about affecting the Volta Lake as it stands right now is strictly man-made, and we definitely need to talk about that. Then the rising operational cost, fuel, equipment, as well as maintenance is becoming unaffordable, and it's forcing the fisherfolks to cut corners and abandon the trade. Right, it's a pleasure having you. This is MI4 Studios on YouTube. Do subscribe to the channel and also follow us on TikTok, MI4 Studios. Leave a comment and let's get interactive. Also follow and like our page on Facebook, MI4 Studios. There's more to share with you. My name is Ishmael Mubarak, and we are taking a look at the Volta Lake fish or fishery crisis. The fish crisis in the Volta Lake area. It is not just an environmental, or it's not just a fishery or fishing crisis that is happening there. It's a cumulative of social challenges, environmental difficulties, as well as economic pressures or depressions that is putting the Volta area and the number of persons in the community, as well as almost about a major part of Ghana's fishing or fishery that is acquired locally, into disrepute. This is MI4 Studios. Let me take you into the details of the story. Right. As it stands right now, there is fishery crisis in Ghana. You might have not heard it. I'm not going to talk about some part of the world today. I'm going to strictly stay in the Ghanaian context. And in the Ghanaian context, we have fishery crisis today. Why do we have fish or fishery crisis? We are having fish or fishery crisis as a result of losing viability of the Volta Lake. How are we losing the viability of the Volta Lake? Let me share those points with you. We all do know that there's so much in terms of chemicals these days, and so therefore I would say chemical runoff from agriculture. Right. Excessive use of fertilizers and herbicides near the lake poisons the lake. Those persons who are farming around the lake continuously fall on these herbicides, weedicides, as well as fertilizers for our food product. Right, yes, they are targeting abundance in terms of their produce, but then they do not know whether scientifically, technically, or professionally how that is affecting the fisheries in the Volta Lake. The simple question is that how is that affecting the fish in the Volta Lake? It is affecting because the eggs of the fish are not as matured as the fish to contain or sustain itself in diverse environment. And so therefore, as the fisheries give birth, or the fishes give birth, or they lay their eggs into the waters, then when the eggs come in contact with this particular chemicals used as fertilizers, weedicides, herbicides, and all of those genetically modified support for agriculture, this has a great toll as a result of research. This is not just me saying. Research has proven that this has a great toll on how the fishes or the eggs from the fishes would survive, and this has accounted for the dwindling breeds or new breeds of fishes from the Volta Lake, and it is causing serious crisis. Let us move on to the other problem, which is illegal mining. The galamsey that has seen a lot of mercury and arsenic from mining. Mining operations contaminate water so much that if it's not even about the chemicals, the arsenic as well as the mercury that is going to be used, just the excavators driving themselves through the water bodies, mudding the water up, pulling up or turning out the water bodies, and being able to fetch out the sun or the sunbeds in the water bodies have a great concern. And where in this country have you seen a galamsey site in a river body or a water body that particular water body or river is livable for any other living thing, not to talk of these particular fishes that we consume and that which have come together. We might not consume, but might have come together to help the existence of the food that we eat in terms of the fish production. And so these mercuries can be blamed a lot, and then these illegal minings or illegal mining activities that we term as galamsey can also be blamed so much, and so much a lot in what is happening around the Volta Lake. And it's a big crisis. It's not underestimated issue. Already, I'm going to give you the statistics, how much Ghana is already importing every day and how much money we are spending on these things. And to add to the dwindling fortunes of the economy in terms of food crisis or food consumption in the country, especially organic food consumption in the country, this is also happening, and mining is taking a toll. The climate change is also one of the greatest factors that is taking a toll. Temperatures are rising these days, and erratic rainfall cycles has been recorded in the country in a very consistent manner. Yes, I know as it stands right now, it is raining, and it's raining very heavily, but then the rains are expected in certain periods and time that actually help the nature to grow, and fisheries are part of the nature, whether you are wearing them or whether they are there and being bred naturally to this particular regard. And so what has caused these climate changes, these erratic climate changes, is as a result of the many deforestations in our country, the loss of many of our water bodies to illegal mining. And to that regard, we all do know in our normal sciences from our basic school that water rains, clouds will form as a result of the evaporation of waters from the earth as a result of the sunshine coupled with the other natural resources, and then it rises up. When the clouds becomes heavy, it gives us rain. And if the evaporation is not happening at the right time and it's not happening at the right quantity, and it has also been affected by hazardous chemicals and all of that, at the end of the day, the rains that comes out, the formation of the rain is distorted, the rains that come out is distorted, the timing of the rain is distorted. So this is what the climate change aspect is doing when it comes to this particular aspect of the climate change that we are talking about. And you know that when these chemicals rise into the air and the climate is changing as a result of forestation and other circumstances that could be avoidable, you know that this depletes oxygen, or you do not know. Find it out, because it's scientifically approved. Well, from the notion of every single Ghanaian or every single human being, a simple tree being felled is a loss of oxygen, because we are giving out carbon dioxide and then the trees are going to give us oxygen. So once there is deforestation, desertification, and once there is the cutting down and the logging of trees, and once that we are losing our vegetative cover for agriculture and other agricultural produce and our forests, at the end of the day, the depletion, or we are squeezing the size of the oxygen that we do have to share to this regard. And I mean, there's not so much I could say to explain this, because every single Ghanaian who is in a farming community or a mining community and has seen that the depletion of our forest and our arable lands is definitely going to understand this particular thing. And whoever is watching and looking at the videos that we are showing definitely knows how severe this particular situation is, and that has also accumulated to the low yields and the crisis at the Volta Lake for fishermen or fisher folks or the community there, as well as the consumers of fish to that regard. And outdated fishing methods is also one part of the issue. Most of our fisher folks have very little or no education at all, and so therefore the style of fishing that has been used, I'm not saying that you need to throw away the tradition and all of that, but the style of fishing that has been used for a very long time is the same thing that they are going to be using to this regard. Many local fishers lack modern tools, leading to overfishing in certain areas, because I mean, you do not have the tools that could take you further, and you have not also scientifically read so much or technically read so much, and so therefore they go within an area and just pull out the fish, and it is a distraction to the habitation of the fishes to that particular area, because the more you fish in a particular area, the more you are picking up both the fingerlings, the eggs, and then the fishes that are ready for consumption. And at the end of the day, you might be losing harvest or catch because you fish from certain aspect of the sea. The more you are hunting and the more the human interference is also happening, the more the fisheries are also looking for other safer places to breed. Some fishes travel long distances to go breed just to protect their breeds to this regard. And everything is changing as the human race is changing in terms of how we see things and understand things. It's the same way that the animal race is adapting to the styles and the kind of community that we have built together as living things. And aside the outdated fishing methods, we also can talk about the light pollution, because these are our local folks, our fisher folks, you know, they are using artificial lighting for the normal rural electrification, and this lighting fishing system disrupt the natural fish behavior. So you see, as the fisheries are meant to be caught and ate by us, there is a natural way it's also habitate and be able to produce more, be able to sustain our food buffer, and also be able to be available all the time for us. Because of greed, because of lack of new methods, because of lack of learning, because of lack of understanding to what we ought to be doing in the fishing and the fishery industry. We go according to how much we are going to get today, and then use certain steps, models, or medium to get our catch for today, not thinking about how it is affecting the fishing itself or the fishery itself. Because when you go and you do not find fish, you're going to, think that you didn't get a very good catch for the day. But then the circumstances that could affect that particular situation is what you have caused. It's man-made, and most of these issues we are talking about affecting the Volta Lake as it stands right now is strictly man-made, and we definitely need to talk about that. Then the rising operational cost, fuel, equipment, as well as maintenance is becoming, unaffordable, and is forcing the fisher folks to cut, corners and abandon the trade. So as the dollar rose up against the Ghana cedi some years back, and it had been consistent on the high, and so therefore affecting the premix fuel. And actually the premix fuel usually is not even available for consumption, because there's so many times in our country that we would have to go beg fisher folks to go fishing so we can eat, and the fisher folks would have to come out demonstrating and calling on government to reduce the premix fuel, as well as the distribution of the premix fuel is supposed to be done in a proper way and manner. And these factors, especially with the dollar, given that almost every machinery and equipment was imported and has always been imported, is definitely having a major toll on them. I hope that seeing the price reduction in certain products, commodities, and services on the Ghanaian market this time around, it could make some impact in the fishing industry. So this ripple effect serve as a severe food security loss on livelihood. And also, come to think about it, shrinking fishing workforce. Some experts are calling on urgent reforms on this matter. But then, how are we going to have an urgent reforms on this matter if the leadership is not paying so much attention to what is happening in the fisher folk? I know that President John Agyekum Kufuor, the former president, in his time had to contract independent contractors to breed fingerlings and pour them back into the Volta Lake, of which I'm a witness that farms like Jassa Farms and some other farms were producing on large quantities to pour back into the lake to ensure that they replenish the kind of fishing or the quantity of fish over there, and I could talk about numbers in terms of millions of fingerlings that were produced and poured back into the. So if you have to check 2007, 2008, the fish buffer had increased to that regard. We lost that particular system because it was very, politically minded, and the next political party or the next government didn't continue the initiative that lead us to another standing still or standpoint in terms of falling numbers of catch and consumption on the market. That led the Akufo-Addo government, after the NDC government, Akufo-Addo government coming back with the closed season. I mean, the closed season has been there, but then making sure that it's consistent with the timing and stuff. Yes, putting Honorable Mavis Howard Kunsin in charge, all of these skirmishes of holding the key, trying to signify the close of the sea and all of that. Yes, it brought some sort of, difference, because the fisher folks, yes, they would complain when the seas are being closed, but then when they go back to fishing, they are attested that it was making an impact. I do not know if the current government is going to continue with a closed season or how it's going to deal with this particular matter. But then investment in sustainable agriculture and financial support for the local fishers has always been on the low in a very long time. It is not about government A or government B. Agriculture itself, as the backbone of the country or the economy, has not seen so much of quality investment, and if investment are going to go into the agri sector, it's quite political, and it has become a bane for siphoning and corruption, stealing and creating and looting and sharing, as it has been alleged under the Planting for Food and Jobs and Agriculture under the SWA government association. But let us take a look at what statistics there is. How has the Ghana fishing market been like already, comparative to now? Because catch estimate is something that we need to take a look at. When the last catch estimate or the catch estimate was put out there, and currently facing this situation where numbers cannot be even derived, where local and international or giant fisher folks are unable to even catch and make the waters come out. The catch estimate, that annual fish catch from the lake, the Volta Lake, is estimated within the range of 40,000 and 270,000 tons within the year under review. So every single year we are expecting 40,000 to 270,000 tons of fish catch from the Volta Lake. Though experts believe that the actual figure is closer than higher at the end of the year, because this projection comes before the end of the year. But then this is what has been projected, this is what has been documented. And then the Volta Lake itself has got communities around it, and these communities are ranging to about 300,000 people who directly depend on the Volta Lake. So you imagine the economic impact of the Volta Lake and the livelihoods it is affecting. To find out or to realize that it has come to a point that fishing has come to a standstill, and result out of fisheries has come to a standstill. This is a big one, and this contributes so much to our national buffer or to our national grid. The lake provides an approximately 90% of Ghana's freshwater fish production. 90% of Ghana's freshwater fish production. And so to lose the standards of the the lake, and the standards of keeping the fish and all of this stuff, at the end of the day, if a 90% of your freshwater fish production is now under threat and is in crisis, then you are bound, or you're doomed for a lot of importation into the country when it comes to fish consumption, and less of employment, and then livelihoods are going to change, poverty levels are going to rise. Because if we were to use the statistics of about just 300,000 people who are relying directly around the Volta Lake or the Lake Volta are going to lose their jobs, are going to plunge into poverty, then there's a value chain to that, because the fisher folks over there, that's the fishing, they send it to the market women or the market, so the market comes there. Now the market is going to be stifled, there's going to be difficulty in getting the fish back onto the market folks are going to lose their investment and their businesses are going to die gradually, because it's not everyone who can import that particular quantity or who can rely on that, because most of our folks are very reliant on what they do. So at the end of the day, if the source of freshwater fishing 90% is under threat, what happens to the country? More importation. More importation means more demand for international currency. I know for a fact that the Mahama administration has limited its reliance on the dollar, yet it will take an international kind of exchange, whether it's going to be gold or whatever it is, to go grab those tons of fishes into the country. And especially, are they going to be very organic as it is in the country, or are they going to be as or original as it is in that country? Where fish production density, this is one of the statistics that also affect the system. Some studies estimate that about 180 to 240 kilograms catch in a hectare is what is supposed to be done. So the density is just only telling us that how much fish could be found in a particular area, and in a hectare we are looking about 180 to 240 kilograms in that aspect. But then, without these particular information and education, our fisher folks are fishing, or sometimes make the mistake of fishing within certain areas or jurisdictions for quite too long, and then after making way with about 180 to about 240, you'd realize that you wouldn't have so much buffer in that particular area. And because of lack of this information and lack of this knowledge, definitely they will be complaining about this situation. One aspect is that the machineries they use do not go as far as those national and international fishing vessels that have come onto the Ghana seas and waters in terms of fishing, and so therefore they cannot also compete or have grounds in the competition that is currently happening to this regard. So what will be the way forward in this particular situation? Government must come in, the fisher folks must come in, investors must come in, and stakeholders must come in. Yet the decision to salvage this situation relies so much on how the environment is going to be treated. Are we curbing the illegal mining, curbing the use of arsenic and mercury in our water bodies? Are we curbing the cutting down of trees? Are we replanting? Are we reclaiming the lands that have been destroyed by gold mining companies, whether legal or illegal? What are we doing to this regard? When it comes to the fish itself, are we replenishing the fingerlings? Are we curbing or reducing the fertilizers or educating them? Are we pushing away farmers at the banks of the Volta Lake to ensure that these problems or crises are sorted out even before it becomes a major blow to the country? My name is Ishmael Mubak, and this is MI4 Studios. Thank you for watching. Follow us on TikTok, MI4 Studios. Follow us on Facebook, MI4 Studios, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, MI4 Studios. Thank you for watching.